go over this right quick so we can figure out what the heck Candace is talking about, because as you all can see here, it says protection order regarding pretrial and trial publicity. All right, so in the 4th Judicial District Court in and for Utah County, state of Utah, you have the state of Utah plaintiff versus Tyler James Robinson. Case number is 251-403-576. Judge is Tony F. Graff Jr. Defendant Tyler James Robinson is charged with 1 count of aggravated murder and other felonies. This case has generated and is likely to continue to generate significant pretrial and trial publicity. That publicity can compromise defendant Tyler James Robinson's right to due process of law, as well as both parties' rights to a fair and impartial jury trial. Pretrial publicity is of particular concern because it can taint the prospective jury pool. So this speaks to the information that is going out through the media that includes us here on YouTube, Candace Owens, and any and everyone that's speaking of the case. You have to be careful to not. What Candace has been doing is getting tips, talking about evidence that may or may not even exist, and actually saying the FBI, the DOJ don't know what they're doing. They're lying. They're not saying this. They're this evidence on this, as if she's conducting her own investigation. What I'm doing is reporting the information that's there. I don't have a reason to conjure up anything that I can't pull up and read for myself, that I cannot substantiate with a video or with an article or with the court documents itself. And so when you start to go off on a tangent like Candace is doing, the judge will, because this is a high profile case, say, listen, we have got to narrow it in because this is going to get a lot of attention, which means a lot of people are going to be talking about it. We got to be careful on what's being put out there, because when they go to select a jury, the jury is a jury of your peers. It's 12 people on a jury that are a jury of your peers. First question they're asked is, are you familiar with the case? And with it being so high profile and being reported on internationally, more than likely they're going to say, yeah, I've seen it in, a couple websites here and there, especially on YouTube or X or Instagram. It's being talked about on major social media platforms. It's in the news. It would be very difficult to select 12 members of a jury that has not heard anything about this case. But what you don't want is for the case itself to be so flooded and inundated with information that cannot be factually proven with documentation or evidence, or with witness testimony, because testimony is evidence, to the point where the jury is all sitting in here worried more about conspiracy theories, but not looking at the actual evidence itself related to the case. That is called a tainted jury. And if they can't see the facts and the evidence to either prove that he did or did not commit the crime, and with the criminal matter, the burden is to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. If there is a chance reasonable doubt can be invoked, more than likely, you're going to have somewhat of a hung jury. You could possibly have a hung jury. You might get, when it comes to the death penalty, you need all 12 to vote. You need every person to vote unanimously when it comes to voting for like the death penalty. You get one that says no and everybody says yes. Then they're not going to render that. So in certain charges where you need unanimous decisions made, if you can't get that unanimous decision, you end up with a hung jury. All because 2 or 3 people are influenced by what's being put out here in social media. Well, Candace said that there was a video where the suspect was walking with a female. Did y'all know that? Now, this is what they're talking about in the jury room, as opposed to the actual evidence they have presented in court. They're talking about what the hell Candace Owens said on her channel with no evidence. Where's the damn video, Candace? See, and there's some case law to support this. So I'm going to get to that in a second, but you guys can see now what this means when it comes to the aspect of a protection or a gag order. Even a gag order is a type of protection order, but we'll get to that in a second. Just want to read this order itself to you all so y'all can just see the order and see what's written in the order and what the judge signed. All right. To protect the parties' fundamental rights, the court, on its own motion, issues the following protection order. Lawyers who have participated, who are now participating, or who will yet participate in the investigation or litigation of this case in any way shall abide strictly by Rule 3.6 of the Utah Rules of Professional Conduct. Rule 3.6 prohibits a lawyer from making an extrajudicial statement that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication and will have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding in the matter. All right. So you're bringing in any information that could be significant and impact the case and cause some level of prejudice or invoke that reasonable doubt. So this is Utah Rules of Professional Conduct 3.6a. So let's get to, this is page 1. Here is page 2. And I just want to make sure everybody's with me so far. You understand so far what's going on. Let me know if you have questions. Put a 1 in the chat if you good. We can keep going because there's going to be some information here because, see, you know, this court stuff is boring. But the trick is to present it in a funny way. Unfortunately, Candace sucks the fun out of everything. She's saying the weirdest stuff that no one is trying to make sense of. I think it's a very dangerous thing to sit here and talk about dead people visiting you in your visions. I can't get past that. Candace is a wannabe gag door. I heard of it, but no evidence, that's for sure. But who knows? Yeah, she's the one that said that there's a video of the suspect walking with a female. Where's the video, Candace? That's all we want. We just want the evidence. If you got, and turn it over to the feds. Turn it over to the feds. You're already interfering. I wouldn't be surprised if she had a gag order issued against her, but she put it out there. Not me. Not the YouTubers. She did that. Lawyers who have participated, who are now participating, or who will yet participate in the investigation or litigation of this case shall not intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly permit a witness, investigator. I want you all to look at each term they're using here. A witness. A witness doesn't always have to make it through to the trial. They could be a witness and be investigated or be questioned. Keep that in mind. A witness, investigator, consultant. Consultant could be anyone that the prosecutor or the defense hires. Like an expert witness testimony, or you go and get a DNA test done, or you get consultant that can help retrieve, you know, some data on a hard drive. Consultant. Staff member or other member of the prosecution or defense team to make extrajudicial statements which, if made by the lawyer, would violate Rule 3.6. So they're saying you can't even permit, if you're the attorney, you can't even permit a witness, investigator, consultant, staff member, or any member of the prosecution or defense team to make any statements because it would be as if it's being made by the lawyer. So they're holding the lawyers accountable for that. But you all see here who that all includes. So a witness could be someone in the media. A witness could be someone like Phil Lyman. What if Phil Lyman was a possible witness? Let's think about this for a second. And then Candace Owens puts Phil Lyman information out there. And then the man said he does an interview with her. And then questions something about his mother. And then goes after his cousin / nephew. But what if Phil Lyman was a witness? Or could become a potential witness? Now, what do you think she's doing when she's trying to drag this man all over her show, sending the candy asses after him online with the cyber harassment and the bullying and the doxing. Wouldn't that be tampering with a witness? Wouldn't that be tampering? See, this is the possibility that the court is trying to eliminate. Because let's say he does become a witness or was at one point a witness. He can't go out and make statements that would be extrajudicial statements. Because it would be as if, depending on who he's a witness for, whether it be the prosecution or the defense, more than likely, Bill Lyman was a friend to Charlie Kirk. He could have been a witness for the prosecution. Even if he's not going to be a witness in the testimony and giving testimony, he could have given statements. He could have been considered a witness when he went and spoke with the FBI and gave statements or an account of what he saw with his own eyes the day of the shooting. And here you have someone like Candace Owens talking about Phil Lyman, trying to get him to do an interview. He's being cyber harassed. He's being cyber bullied. His family is being cyber harassed and cyber bullied. That is the epitome of tampering with the witness. And would he owe Candace Owens an interview or conversation if he's considered to be a witness? No, he doesn't. And because of what he may or may not have shared with her, or what anyone else that she has hounded down in her so-called fake investigation may or may not have shared with her. What if the Department of Justice, the FBI, went to Candace Owens and asked her some questions? They could deem her to be a witness. Now, whether she makes it to the trial and gets on the stand doesn't necessarily have to occur for her to be considered a witness. Because now you're receiving information that could be pertinent to the case. So what if she's considered a witness? What if? I'm asking questions here. What if Candace Owens is now or has been considered a witness? What if she's been questioned? Because why else would she put this post out? So I personally wouldn't put out a post like that talking about a gag order if I have not been put in a position where the feds have not came to me and talked to me directly about something. Because more than likely, you get an order like this that's out, you would think it wouldn't even apply to you. Otherwise, why put out the post? This is what happens when you go out here trying to play pretend CIA. And then you end up becoming a witness, whether you like it or not. And now look, at any point in time, if she was a witness, she cannot give any statements that would be considered extrajudicial that could be pertinent to the case. Or else it will be in violation of Rule 3.6. So just putting between her post together and what's in this order together, and then we're going to look up gag orders and the definition, the concept of that. It seems like Candace Owens may or may not have been a witness at some point. And the moment they sit you down, they can say, all right, well, we're going to consider you a witness in this to help us gather information. Or we just want you to, to answer some questions, to provide a statement of what you've been told from others who may have been witnesses. And you're interfering with that, Candace. You're putting people out there. You and the candy asses are cyber harassing and cyber stalking people. You're doxing people, which is a cyber crime. And you're doing this for what? Because it's not solving anything. You're not solving any crime, Candace. You're not solving the murder. You're putting yourself in a situation where you're talking about violating something that perhaps does apply to you. Because they may consider you to be a witness. And just because they're sick of your nonsense and you seemingly tampering with other witnesses, forcing them to do interviews with you, asking about Phil Lyman's mother. Why? His cousin had to eradicate 2 of the 3 of his social media profiles because of the harassment. Companies and organizations dealing with pipes and all this other stuff you've put out there. You've accused whole countries, the Israeli Prime Minister, Josh Hammer. You don't think you're going to be questioned at some point, Candace, by the FBI? Because what your actions could lead to is interference and or possibly obstruction. So they will deem you to be a witness just so you can be applicable to this order. And that might be the reason why she made the post. Yep. So if that be the case, Candace, if this order applies to you, Candace, then I suggest you don't violate it. But if you do, you will be doing yourself a disservice. You have 4 children and a husband to think about. And if they're not that important to you, then go for it. Violate the order. We would love to witness a hearing where you're held in contempt. And you would have brought all of that upon yourself, Candace. Not me or any other content creator on YouTube forced you to do that. You did that to yourself. To that end, lawyers participating in the investigation or litigation of this case shall inform all witnesses, investigators, consultants, staff members, or other members of the prosecution or defense teams about the prohibitions contained in this order. This protection order applies to lawyers who are not participating in the investigation or litigation of this case, but who are associated with the Utah County Attorney's Office or associated with the defense counsel's firm or firms. See Utah Rule Professional Conduct 3.6, D as in dog. Court staff is also ordered to not make public statements that will violate the provisions of this order. This order does not prohibit lawyers from making statements permitted by Rule 3.6. See Utah Rules of Professional Conduct 3.6B as in boys, C as in cat. Dated this 16th day of September 2025. This was signed back on September 16th, 2025. It's October 21st, 2025. Candace posted her post on yesterday, October 20th. Is there by chance, Candace, that some FBI investigator of some sort or someone from the court had to call you and remind you there's a whole order in place and we're not afraid to use it? Yeah, that's the order. That's the order right there. So now you all can see who's all included. If Candace is a witness or has been deemed a witness at any point throughout the investigation or trial phase of this matter, this would apply to her. She seems to be helping the damn defense get off because of the stuff that she's saying and doing that is very combative to what the FBI is trying to do and what investigators are trying to do, the prosecutor. But all they have to do is say, we're considering you as a witness. Problem solved. Yeah, that's it. Problem solved. We're considering you to be a witness. Now, here's the order. You might want to follow it. Or Candace Owens will be held to contempt. If you're a witness, Candace, you're not doing the world a favor. You're just going to have your kids wondering, why is mommy going to jail? Because they're going to have you, they're going to go for your neck, girl. You have been pissing off everybody, the CIA, the FBI, the Kosh Patel, the entire controversial, the U.S., Trump, the Macrons, Australia. You man, it's just a laundry list. So she can keep playing this game if she wants to, talking about she's going to be doing the world a favor. No thanks. No thanks. The Bible states that thou art to obey the laws of the land. Since when do we get to pick and choose which scriptures of the Bible we want to follow as Christians here? How does that go? You think you're above the rule of law? Oh, okay. Yeah. No, we'll consider you to be a witness. Yeah, so let's get to the next one. Here, this is just talking about a gag order. When can a gag order be issued by a court? Shout out to you, my mod Manny. Thank you for tuning in. How you doing? Shout out to LLC in the chat. Y'all, we're just reading the information and asking questions here. I would think Tatum knows more, was very active with Turning Point USA, but not Candace. Yeah. I heard of it, but no evidence, that's for sure. But who knows? Yeah, Candace just, like I said, she's walked herself right into a gag. All they got to say is you're a witness to this. And that's it. She's done. Candace is mentally gone. What's going on, Bernice? She is gone. She's got 4 kids. She better find her way back, or else she's got a lot more to worry about than what she's considering to be a gag order. Candace said no worries on gag order because she knows it does not apply to her. Haha. Yeah. All you gotta be is a witness, Candace. All they got to say is we'll consider her to be a witness to the case. So that order applies. Y'all saw a witness, consultant. More than likely she would fit the witness standard because she would have to be consultant. You would have to be hired on to do some work on either for the prosecutor or the defense. But they could just say you're a witness. We'll consider you to be a witness. That's it. Problem solved. She put this post out. So apparently they've talked to her, or they've asked questions, or they consider her as a witness for her to feel like this thing applies to her. Because that's the only way. She's not an attorney. She's not a member of the prosecution or the defense team. She doesn't work for the court. She's not staff. The only option that's feasible and that would make sense is her being a witness. That's according to the order. We read the order, y'all. I'm not making stuff up. Candace doesn't care if she is on a scorched earth mission. Exactly. She better start caring. So this information here, you guys, you can read about it. I just Googled, gag order online. A gag order is a court order issued directive that restricts individuals or groups from publicly discussing a legal case, formerly known as a non-dissemination order. Its purpose is to protect a defendant's constitutional right to a fair trial from widespread publicity. The order aims to prevent the spread of information that could prejudice a jury, intimidate witnesses. Y'all see this here? Intimidate witnesses, or otherwise undermine the administration of justice. Candace, you going around demanding information, wanting people to send you tips, talking about Phil Lyman, who knows else that could have been witnesses. Don't you think with your so-called forceful method, this man didn't want to do an interview with you? He didn't owe you that. No one owes you anything, Candace Owens, or your candy asses. You nor the candy asses are owed nothing. Just bless God that you get to breathe for another second and live on earth. But no one owes you anything. And you have cyber harassed and bullied and doxed people. You've committed cyber crimes where people are contemplating filing lawsuits against you. Josh Hammer wants to sue you for defamation. And you don't think somehow people who could be possible witnesses, especially if they were there and they witnessed Charlie Kirk being assassinated, you don't think they could be witnesses to the case? You don't think Phil Lyman at any point, or his nephew, anyone that was there with him, out retracing the shooter's steps, you don't think they would have been witnesses to the case? And you're sitting here trying to hound him down, get him to come on your show, having calls, having his cousin having to remove social media profile. That's called intimidation. So you cyber harass people into doing what you want, not caring that it's considered intimidation. So while you're out intimidating witnesses, you could easily be named as a witness just so that order can apply to you. So that's what a gag order is for. It keeps you from intimidating other witnesses. You plan on violating it, Candace Owens? You're not that smart, girl. That judge will not give two shits how you feel. They won't care. prosecution or the motion, whoever she's supposed to be a witness for. It seems like it will be for the defense because she seems to be helping the defense out. But I'm sure the prosecution wouldn't have a problem filing a motion for her to be held to contempt. And I'm very sure they would seek more than just a fine. Now, they're going to want you to sit in jail for a few days. Keep on playing with that court and that judge if you want to. The legal standard for issuing a gag order. A judge's decision to issue a gag order involves a constitutional balancing act between the First Amendment protection of free speech and the Sixth Amendment's guarantee of a fair trial, because the prosecution and defense both deserve to have a fair trial and not have Candace Owens walking around talking about the FBI is cutting out video evidence footage that shows the suspect walking with a woman, and she can't produce the video evidence. Or her hounding and intimidating witnesses that witnessed the actual act for themselves in person, that want to participate, but now are so deterred because of Candace Owens that is causing an interference of that information to flow from the witness to the prosecution or to the investigators. It's obstructing that from happening. That is the epitome of obstruction of justice. So keep playing with the courts, Candace Owens. They're going to play with you right back. And you're not going to like their fair play. Now, that judge that signed it, he is not playing with you. Period. A judge must determine if public commentary poses a genuine threat to the legal process. Because saying that there are video evidence out here that the FBI has not presented to everybody, would probably be threatening. Oh, God. It will be material to the case, and it will actually hurt the case. With you saying all this doubt that, there are questions that have been asked by everybody. But you sitting here cyber harassing, stalking, and doxing people, that's some shit. That we don't dox. We don't do that. We don't cyber harass people. You're not going to get them to do anything. You're not going to force someone to bend to your will. That's not how it works. There are laws in place for that. Doxing is intolerable. Me personally, I just report shit. Keep living. But cyber harassing a witness that already witnessed something horrific. Phil Lyman was there. He saw it in person. Candace Owens, you weren't. So keep playing with the court. They're going to play with you right back. The Supreme Court considers such restrictions a prior restraint on speech, which is presumed unconstitutional, placing a heavy burden on the party requesting the order. To justify a gag order, the court must find a substantial likelihood that public comments would materially prejudice the case. This means there is a real probability that publicity could taint the jury pool or prevent a just outcome. The judge must also conclude that the order is the least restrictive means available to prevent the harm after considering alternatives like changing the trial venue or sequestering the jury. So they haven't gotten to the phase of the case where they have even selected a jury yet. I do believe it's getting to that point, but they haven't gotten to that phase yet. So more than likely, they don't want to pick a jury that's been tainted to the point where they're believing more of Candace Owens' conspiracy theories and not the actual evidence that they have in front of them that is here on earth in this reality. In Nebraska Press Association v. Stewart, the Supreme Court outlined a test for orders restricting the press, considering the extent of news coverage, other available measures, and the order's likely effectiveness. While the standard for trial participants is less rigid than for the media, the restriction must be narrowly tailored to address a specific threat to the trial's fairness. And then, of course, types of cases where orders are more gag orders are common in high-profile criminal cases like this one. So I'm going to copy and paste this link here. You guys can read the rest of the information for yourselves, because here in the Lady Luck Club, we do have facts and evidence and documentation. So there is Supreme Court ruling. Yep. So the Nebraska Press Association v. Stewart, 1976. The Supreme Court's decision in the Nebraska Press Association, I'm just going to say NPA v. Stewart, established that prior restraints on the press are unconstitutional, reinforcing the First Amendment's protection of freedom of press. In 1975, a high-profile murder case in Sutherland, Nebraska, involved the accused Aaron Simmons, attracted significant media attention. Concerned about the potential impact of pretrial publicity on the defendant's right to a fair trial, Nebraska State Trial Judge Hugh Stewart issued a gag order restricting the press from publishing or broadcasting accounts of confessions made by the accused or other implicative facts. This order was modified by the Nebraska Supreme Court, but still imposed significant restrictions on media coverage. So the Supreme Court, in a unanimous decision delivered on June 30th, 1976, ruled that the trial judge's order constituted an unconstitutional prior restraint on the press. Chief Justice Warren E. Burger emphasized that while the right to a fair trial is important, the barriers to imposing prior restraints on the press are high. The court held that the First Amendment protects the press from such restrictions, even in cases of intense pretrial publicity. So with the order that we read here, let's say, I'm going to go back to it. Let's say this is challenged by a higher level court. I haven't seen anything where this has been challenged. But let's just say this is challenged by a higher level court. Then that challenge, that appeal, would have to overrule or overturn or vacate this order here. So far, this order has not been vacated. And it's been in effect since September 16th of 2025. This is the protection order. Here's 2 pages. And it does specifically state, based on Court Rule 3.6, it gives a specific, like the gag order says, it has to be outlined to be specific or narrowly tailored right here. It must be narrowly tailored to address a specific threat to the trial's fairness. So what they tried to do was address that by pointing out to a specific rule. So what they're saying is the attorneys who are responsible for gathering the case together and representing the state versus the defendant in the matter, we're going to put the onus on them. We're going to say, overall, if the attorneys, based on this rule, go out and make any extrajudicial statement that the lawyer knows or reasonably should know will be disseminated by means of public communication and will have a substantial likelihood of materially prejudicing an adjudicative proceeding in this matter, or it includes, and here's the second page here, lawyers who have participated, are now participating, or who will yet participate in the investigation or litigation of this case shall not intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly permit. See here, this is where they're putting the onus on the attorneys. You do not even permit a witness, investigator, consultant, staff member, or other member of the prosecution or the defense team to make such statements as if made by the lawyer that would violate Rule 3.6. So they narrowed it down to this specific professional standard rule. And it's the professional conduct for attorneys, as far as how they should handle information being released out regarding a criminal investigation, the trial, evidence, and any of those things, because it could possibly taint the jury pool, or it could cause the due process rights to be impeded. If Candace is considered a witness, that is how this order would be applicable to her. And this is based on her post. She posted this up about a gag order. She posted up the post about a gag order. No one else posted that up but her. No one told her to do that. She posted it up. This order was signed September 16th. Why would Candace wait until October 20th to make that post? Give me your thoughts in the chat. Why would Candace wait, knowing that this order was signed September 16th? Y'all see it right here. It's a little faint, but it's there. Why would she wait till October 20th to put up that post on Twitter X? Tell me. Holler at me in the chat. Seriously. Why would Candace wait over a month to post this post up? This is what she posted up. Let me pull it up. I didn't post this. Candace posted this. She put this up. Why would she wait till October 20th to say this? October 19th. I'm sorry. October 19th at 10:21 p.m. My apologies. I was off by a date. October 19th. From an order signed by the judge on September 16th. Why would she post this up? Who told her to do that? Come on, Candace. Who told her to do that? Who told her to do it? I want to know. Who told her to do this? A month after the court order was signed, she makes this post. Come on. Y'all tell me. I don't know, frankly. Did it stop? It was stop. I don't know. What are you talking about? Diane said, did Candace know Tyler? She's not a witness. She could be. What if they considered her to be a witness? It doesn't mean she witnessed the death. She could be a witness to some information that's been shared. They could consider her a witness just simply because they want to ask her some questions. She could be a witness to the video evidence that's been submitted to the FBI that they plan on using in the case. She went out and said she got a tip. Oh, the suspect, there's video evidence that the FBI has not released out. The suspect's walking with a woman. Didn't she say that in her podcast? They can see you're a witness just to ask you questions. That's not limited to you actually witnessing the murder. Where is she anyway? I don't know. She's been gone for a week and a half. Has anyone seen her? I hope her husband and her kids. What's going on, J.E. Prodigal son? By the way, I shout out to you. Shout out to you. Frankly, up in here, it's against the Constitution. I read the case law. It has to be narrowed down, and they did that. And this order has not been challenged in the higher level court. So far, this order is in effect. Sorry, frankly. Oh, where is her husband? Who knows? I thought he and Erica Kirk were the only two people that could tell Candace to shut up. When is that going to happen? Candace, when is your husband going to tell you? George Farmer? Where's George Farmer? George Farmer, are you there? This is Lady Luck Club. At what point are you going to tell Candace to shut up? Is that ever going to happen? Are you ever going to tell Candace to shut up? What are we doing here? I thought it was only Charlie, Erica Kirk, and George that could tell her to shut up. No, is this never going to happen? You're just going to let her run wild. Mania, exactly. Playing psychology with those actually on gag order. No one else is accused of the murder of Charlie Kirk. Doesn't matter who's accused. They can consider her to be a witness. Anyone they want to ask questions to could consider to be a witness. Especially if she's saying she has her hands on evidence that could be material to the case. Y'all, Candace Owens keeps putting her own foot in her mouth. If she believes that she's in possession or she's receiving any evidence or proof that could be material to the case, she's already talked about video footage that was submitted over to the FBI, which shows the suspect walking down the street, but she's saying someone was paid to give her a tip, which to me, I wouldn't even relate, because someone paying to give me a tip, like if you tell me someone was paid me to tell you this, I'm going to be like, that's not credible to me. You could just be telling me this because someone just paid you to say it. I'm not even going to pay that 2 seconds of attention because it's called integrity in my journalism here. But she's saying there's a video that the FBI has not shown or they proctored that cuts out the suspect walking with the woman. That could be material to the case. So if she's going to invoke herself into this, they could go to her, ask her some questions and say, we consider you to be a witness. Then guess what? That would apply under that order. Witness as far as either the prosecution or defense, doesn't matter. The order says either one. And if you are considered a witness, you're bound by that order. As if you were an attorney under the Rule 3.6. We're reading it as is. I'm not making it up. That order has not been challenged in a higher level court. So far, that order is still in effect. So if Candace is a witness, then more than likely, this is why she believes the gag order will apply to her. Because who would want that type of attention upon themselves, aside from Candace, if you're not a witness? And I've read the court order. If you're not a witness, because she wouldn't fit the other standards here. Let's go back to the order. She wouldn't fit the other standards here. It was a whole lot of titles they named here. We're going on facts, you all. That's how we roll here in the Lady Luck Club. So y'all see here, a witness, investigator, consultant, staff member, or other member of the prosecution or defense team to make extrajudicial statements, which, if made by the lawyer, would violate 3.6, Rule 3.6. So they're considering any statements from these individuals to be seen as if it's statements from the lawyer, from the prosecution or the defense team. So ultimately, the attorneys are being held responsible for all of these people here on both sides. And if all they have to say is, we'll consider you to be a witness to the case, because maybe she's gotten some evidence that could be material to the case, then she would be bound by this order. That's still in effect since September 16th, 2025. If it's being challenged, then I will go over the case. But so far, there is no order that has been signed by a higher level court that renders this order to be vacated. So this order is in effect. That's the reality of it. So that you all see this. This is up. This is it. Obviously, Candace is either implying that she's a witness of some sort, or perhaps maybe she's been approached as having obstructed because she keeps intimidating witnesses, going after people who got, older males with long hair that can be put up in a ponytail or a bun, a man bun. Y'all remember that video? This is what she's doing to herself. No one told Candace to post up that post a month later. But she did. And she plans on violating it. And you violate a court order, that's grounds for you to be held in contempt. Yeah, go ahead and violate it, Candace. That would not hurt my feelings at all. The candy asses would be highly disappointed, but that would not hurt my feelings, not even one little bit. All right? You all are seeing this for yourself. This is the hope. When I come correct. Understand, there's a whole bunch of resources I have in the description of this video where you guys can go and read and get this information in for yourself. But this is it. Gag orders are specific, types of protection orders. Or a restraint order. A restraint is like stopping you, mandating you from doing something or saying something. Gag orders is specifically, restraining you or stopping you from saying something. And then protection orders is typically, when there's some sort of threat of physical bodily harm or injury to be done. So there is a protection order in place as well, but it's kind of standard and automatic when it comes to a murder trial. The suspect or the defendants are ordered to stay away from the family, their relatives, anyone else. Um, it's just kind of automatic. You don't expect the defendant to be able to, if they make bail, to go out. They just got accused or charged with murdering someone, and they go out and then they go around all the family members. No. So that was kind of standard for them to have that protection order put in place for Erica Kirk and the kids, considering that this is a murder trial. So, but this specific order, it deals with, okay, let's make sure people aren't running around here intimidating witnesses or saying dumb shit. And it's still in effect. You can call it what you want, but only the judge in the court of law is going to be able to determine whether or not it's so-called unconstitutional. And if they want to use the case law, I pulled up case law that speaks to it being typically these being unconstitutional if it's not narrowed and tailored to address a specific threat to the trial's fairness, or if there's a chance of it tainting the jury. Do you want a jury of people going in talking about, y'all see Candace Owens' video yesterday? She said this, and this, and I believe her. Like, do you really want that in your jury? Never mind all the evidence that they have in this reality in front of them. You don't want people going into the jury on conspiracy theories, because candy asses and honeybees. You don't want that. You want a jury that can be impartial, that can fairly look at the evidence, listen to the testimony, and to be able to help decide a ruling. This is going to be a murder trial where they're seeking the death penalty here. And Candace seems to be sitting here trying to help the defense. So if he didn't do it, who did it? Because otherwise, so far the evidence is pointing to him. I'm still waiting on her to put that video of him walking with a female. Where's that video at? So she plans on violating this gag order she feels pertains to her because she said it, not me. We read her text. And this order has been in effect for an entire month. Then let her be held in contempt. Go ahead and violate the order. Go violate the order, Candace. Violate that order. Yeah, no, you won't be doing the world a favor like you think. Violate that damn order, girl. Because then it would question the impartiality of the courts. Oh, she gets to violate it and nothing happens, but yet these people can and they go to jail for 30 days. What the hell? This is like a warning message to the attorneys. Be careful what you say, because it could taint the jury. It could interfere with someone's due process rights. But we don't have time for your nonsense. And when they say extrajudicial, you're saying basic statements that could be material to the case. And if you guys don't believe me, you can Google the definition of the term extrajudicial. But we're reading documents. Miss Fig says she inserted herself by probing and saying she knows I know, but I don't know, Yeah, because you don't know, and you don't know, but I do know, but I don't know. Somehow I know. I don't know what I know. Girl, bye. Oh man. J.E. Prodigal Son said, is that a public doc? Yes. This court document here. I'm gonna drop the link again. Shout out to Andrea Burkhart. She's an attorney. This is on her Substack. Make sure you guys show them some love. She also did a video. She went over the order as well as the same case law that I pulled up. It was the best case law I could find, just to have some neutrality for the candy asses, because they get riled up. But at the end of the day, there's nothing overriding this order, so it's still in effect. This order's in effect. And don't we believe that we should follow the laws of the land? Isn't that what we believe as Christians? Yeah, we do. That's funny. 1A is nothing in court. Okay. Candace asking people to send her videos and information without sending it to the feds is bordering obstruction or maybe tampering with evidence. Yeah, it's definitely obstruction, because she's getting it, and this could be evidence that could be material to the case, meaning that this evidence would definitely determine how this case flows. It could either break or win the case or break the case. It could do one of the when they say material, meaning it is highly significant to the case. So, like that with that video, the suspect walking with a female. Okay, that would be material because that could imply that someone was a co-conspirator, that he was with someone. And with him saying he acted alone, then he will be lying. So with her saying the things she says and does, yeah, it could be, depending on the type of evidence we're looking at here, that could be considered material. Yes, it could definitely be obstructive. Intimidating witnesses, obstruction. That's what obstruction of justice includes. It's witness tampering, evidence tampering, intimidation of witnesses. All of that falls under obstruction. So Candace Owens is out here doing the most. He probably has, but she's probably said, no, you shut up. What, George? George telling her, dear, will you just come for tea and cakes, huh? Can you sit down for tea and cakes with me and the children? No! Because I know what I know, George. I know what I know, but I don't know, but I know, you know? He's probably like walking around with a sign like, help me. Poor baby. All right, George, it's okay. You know, next time you're in front of the camera, just pull down on your right ear. That'll let me know you need help. Yeah. Candace, don't make us have to rescue George out that damn house, girl. Shut up. Oh, Diane said drug addicts. Oh, God. Chad said hopefully they put her in jail. That could be it because this is a high-profile murder trial. And look how much she has done in the last month regarding this investigation. Y'all, she's been at it every day since he died up until last week. There's a reason why this girl is out missing in action. There's a reason. Hey, look at her say, yeah, oh, you're a witness now. Yeah, go ahead and go out there and say some stupid shit. We want you. We dare you, girl. Girl. The judge's order is in effect, Candace. She says she plans on violating it. Yeah, we all plan on watching that hearing of you being held in contempt. Let that happen, Candace. Let that happen. You're gonna have to lose many more days. All that money you making from these videos and all those likes and views and those supers and all that other stuff, yeah, it's going straight to bail money. Stop playing with the courts, Candace. They are not for play. That judge is not in the mood for your nonsense. You can't go to court and act as if you're on your YouTube channel. You can't do that. You go in there, you piss off that judge if you want to, when their signature has more power than your words. All they got to do is sign something and say, this is law. Follow it if you want, break it if you want, and you'll see what happens. It's so crazy. She could risk spending, if she's held in contempt of court, she could risk spending 90 days in jail. 90 days in jail. As a matter of fact, I'll look it up. We'll look it up. If she's held in, what is a contempt? Fines for prison time. Jail time for contempt of court order in Utah. All right, let's see here. 30 days. Y'all see that? Jail time for contempt of court order in Utah. In Utah, jail time for contempt of court can vary based on the severity of the offense and the type of contempt. Here are the key points regarding jail time for contempt of court in Utah. Direct contempt. This occurs in the judge's presence and can be addressed immediately. It may result in jail sentence of up to 30 days. Indirect contempt. This happens outside the courtroom and requires additional legal proceedings. So she would get a hearing. It could lead to misdemeanor charges, which may carry penalties of up to 6 months in jail. Candace, do you really want to violate that order? Justice court judges. If a contempt charge is brought by a justice court judge or court commissioner, the jail sentence is limited to 5 days and the fine is limited to $500. This is a district court, I think. U.S. District Court. Yep. District Court judge. Right here. Judge Tony F. Graff, judge, District Court judge. So Justice court. Okay, no, that's district. That district court is higher. So yeah, no, she can look. She can look up to 6 months. Candace, go ahead and violate that order, girl. Violate the girl. Candace, please violate that order. You'll be all right. You'll be held in indirect criminal contempt. Indirect contempt. You'll get a hearing, but you've already put it out there yourself in a post. That's premeditated. Why do you all think I titled the video that? Candace Owens premeditated violation of a gag order. That would be premeditated. You're saying you're going to do it. How do you think that would help you if you had a hearing for contempt charges, Candace Owens? Your attorneys have to be pulling out their hair by the scalp. Like, why is she my client? Why, Jesus? Like, you cannot make this up. Candace, you're the one choosing to do this. No one told you to put up that post but you and maybe the devil. I don't know. Some spirit is coming to you in your sleep because it can't be Charlie. Charlie would tell you you need to obey the laws of the land. That is in the word of God. I don't know what else to say about that. Like, why would you want to put up a post saying you're going to violate it? She thinks everything is about free speech. And no, it's not how. Oh, this is free speech. You have the right to free speech. It is part of your responsibility to use this free speech wisely. It shouldn't infringe upon the rights of others. Your free speech could also cause someone's due process rights to be significantly hindered or altered. Your free speech does not have the right to infringe upon the freedom and the protections of someone else. Period. It just doesn't. Your rights should not trample over someone else's rights. It should be equal in the eyes of the law. But when you start thinking your rights rises above someone else's rights, we have a problem here. And the courts don't mind putting your ass in check. They will put you in check, girl. And that judge, he is not playing with you, Candace. He's not playing with you. He's not. He's not playing with you. So, let's see here. Timu CK's ball. You're funny. That's a lie. Someone said a woman with him. It's a walking path for students in the public hearsay. Exactly. Like that. Where is the video? She said there's a video that is out there, but the FBI is not trying to release it. That's how she put it. It's like they received the full video, but they cut it down. Did they really? Candace, that would be material to the case. Don't you think that the FBI and the prosecution would want a video showing him walking with someone when he has said he was by himself? Because then he would be lying in the investigation. That could be possible perjury. You can't just make stuff up. It's so crazy about this. Oh, man. No YouTuber is under a gag order. Imagine all the conspiracy channels still doing what they do best. Yeah, well, if she's a witness, she is. If she's a witness, she is. And she wants to go out here and play CIA detective. Yeah, good luck to that girl. Oh, man. She viewed that footage from the camera that was behind Charlie. She said someone let her see it over a Zoom call. Really? That video is public and never should have been shared with her. Is it public or private? What's going on, S-Files? I'm sorry. I didn't speak to you. How you doing? You good? Is that video private? Was it given to the fans? I remember her saying something about somebody from Turning Point USA taking down a camera that was behind Charlie. But that video, from my understanding, was turned over to the prosecutor, to the investigators. And then she got upset because they turned it over and she was like, we don't trust the feds. We don't trust the feds. What do you mean? No, you don't trust the feds, but you don't. That's where this obstruction thing comes into play as well. You have video evidence that have been turned over to the investigator, more than likely for the prosecutor to use. And you're saying that shouldn't happen because you don't trust the feds. What are you talking about? We don't care. The judge didn't care when he signed his order either. He said, yeah, try me. If you're a witness, Candace, try him. Please, please try him. Why else would she put up that post? I'm just asking questions here. Candace, I'm just asking questions here. Why else would you put up that post unless someone is deemed you to be a witness? Why else? Because a month later, now you all of a sudden talking about a gag order out of nowhere. Mighty funny. Mighty funny. I don't find that odd. I find that very odd. It's very it's very strange to me. I gotta get my Candace on. It's very strange to me. It doesn't make sense. Candace Owens posts up a post saying she is going to, don't worry about the gag order in the Charlie Kirk case. I plan to violate it on the world's behalf. You know, like she's somebody's savior. Like she's God or above the rule of law. The things I've discovered this past week are enough to burn the house down. While the judge is saying, you got to get it past the courts. Yes, Charlie was betrayed by everyone. Candace, violate that order if you want to, girl. If you're a witness, violate it. Child boo. Yeah, it should have never been shared with her if they sent it over to the prosecutor or to the investigators. Yeah, okay. You said Owens is a witness. What happened to Fran's stuff? Who knows? That case is still sitting in court, by the way, people. It's not gone anywhere. The court case for the Macrons, oh no, that's not gone anywhere. It's still open and pending and active, very much active. She took a 10-day break. Maybe something happened with that too. But I'm saying there's a possibility if she's posting a post saying something about a gag order, the only way it would apply to Candace Owens is if she has been deemed a witness. Because otherwise, she's not an attorney. She's not a consultant. She's not a, what you guys see here. She's not an investigator. She's not a consultant or staff member or any member of the prosecution or defense team. So the only option that would even make sense would be a witness. So she's been deemed a witness, then that's the only way this order could pertain to her. And that's just putting two and two together between her post and this order. Because why else would she post it? It's so stupid to post something like that if you have nothing to do with it. But apparently, someone has made her a witness. That's just my logical deduction. I could be wrong. I'm asking a question. I'm just asking questions, Candace. You can answer the questions. Unhinged people will act on her own insanity. This is very dangerous. It is. She'll find out. Violate that court order, girl. Pro snipers making vids, no gag order, using narrative with evidence regarding Charlie's incident. I'm sure that the prosecutors and the investigators are reviewing. They watch YouTube as well. But they're making vids on scenarios here. I mean, their videos wouldn't matter. It wouldn't be material to the case because you would have to have the prosecution would either have to draft on their own expert, like sharpshooters or whatever, to recreate the scene, or even the defense. So let's say a couple people who made those videos, those pro snipers, actually are consulted. Yet they're considered consultants. And they're hired by the prosecution or the defense to recreate it. Then they would be under the direction of this order. Because what they will be doing now is recreating what happened, which would be material to the case. I still have questions about how the gun got on the roof. We have logical questions here. But I'm not making assumptions about something that's outside of what's in the indictment. I'm not going beyond what has been presented to me in documentation. And recreating just to test the theory of the power of the weapon or the bullet or anything like that, you know, I don't see that being material. I just seeing that as someone testing the validity of the strength of the bullet in the gun. However, if these people are brought on and hired as consultants to do that, then that would change the game as far as what they will be bound to say and not say. But if Candace is a witness, is all I'm saying. She's the one that posted up the post talking about a gag order. So the only way it would apply to her is if she has been deemed a witness. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying she has been. I'm saying, why would she post the post? One, if she has nothing to do with this order. Why even post it if she has nothing to do with it? It's like she's telling on herself. She's like she's screaming, yeah, I want to be a part of this. Why? Why, girl? You can't make this stuff up. So if she's involved, the only way that order would relate to her is if she has been deemed a witness. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying she is. That's just what I'm deriving between the post and the order. Because otherwise, most people would not even want to tell people they're affiliated with this like that. Like, and then talking about you going to violate something. Girl, bye, Felicia. Bye, Felicia. Yeah, go ahead and violate it, girl. Yeah, go ahead. Find out. I think she's getting just being dramatic, trying to look like a badass. I hope I can say that word. Yeah, you're good. You're good. And then you guys see, here's the link to the actual gag order. You can read for yourselves. Shout out to Andrea Burkhart. She's an attorney. She went over it. She has a 2-hour plus video on YouTube as well. I suggest you guys go and check out